Hi everybody and welcome to a Grimdark Future Battle Report. Machine Cult versus Dark Elf Raiders. With valuable resources still scattered around in the Legatos Sector, the risk of confrontation is higher than ever. Time is running out before the final collapse of the sector, and armies become more reckless when sending patrols deeper into the sector. On the surface of the planet Dizarr, a machine called army and an army of Dark Elf Raiders arrive at the exact same time to salvage the lost resources. Confrontation is unavoidable. The armies line up in frontal clash deployment, the Dark Elf Raiders approaching from the north and the machine cult from the south. The mission is pitched battle. There are 5 objectives on the battlefield and each army will get 1 victory point for each objective they control at the end of round 4 and an additional victory point if they control more objectives than the opponent. The machine cult army is led by a cult leader. He is a caster level 2 armed with a leader revolver and a taser sword. With him he has 2 units of cult rangers. Both units are armed with 4 G rifles and 1 uranium rifle. Then we have a unit of Sect Infiltrators. They are scouts, they have stealth, they are armed with F-blasters and taser swords. And finally, a unit of shock priests. They are furious, they have regeneration and slayer, and all of them are armed with shock staffs. The leader of the Dark Elf Raider army is a court henchman. He's fast and he's armed with ghoulish claws, and he also has the special ability Takedown. Then we have a unit of Gene Warriors. They have regeneration and they are armed with a wide selection of weapons, an arcane rifle and a deadly claw and an acid gun. Then 2 units of warriors. One of them is armed with barb rifles and the other unit is armed with barb rifles, also 1 barb cannon and 1 with barb pistol and energy sword. Then we have a unit of winged warriors, also fast, armed with barb carbines and they can fly. Finally, a crow swarm. They are armed with swarm attacks. In this battle, the Dark Elf Raider army will be controlled completely by AI, so to speak. When a unit has to activate, I will draw one of these activation cards that will tell me exactly which unit to activate. They are all numbered from 1 to 6. So every Dark Elf Raider activation will be unexpected and probably a surprise. When a unit has activated, I will then draw an activation card that will tell me if the unit is aggressive, more careful. For example, here is a controlled approach with lesser risk tactic card, and here we have a offensive tactics card. I'm not going into too much detail during the battle, but this was just some background information. And now let's go to the roll-off. The machine cult will roll the red dice, the Dark Elf Raiders will roll the purple dice, and this is a win for the machine cult. Round 1. The scout and ambush abilities are not used in this battle. First thing to happen is 2 caster tokens to the cult leader, and then this unit of cult rangers will move, and they will move up here the full range of 12 inches, and that will get them very close to an objective. Close enough to seize it, and they will put the blue token here on the objective. Now let's see what the Dark Elf Raiders will do. They will activate Unit 4, and that is the second of the warrior units here. And they will move up on the rock, on the walkway, stay in cover, so no one can target them, but they cannot shoot or reach anybody, so they will stay at this position. With 5 objectives to reach, the armies have to be aggressive. And also this unit of shock priests. They will move forward and stay in cover behind the crate. The winged warriors will activate next. They will fly up on this lower rock 6 inches, and from this position some of them can fire on the Sect Infiltrators. They will have 4 shots and they will hit on a roll of 4. And there are 3 hits, not bad. The Sect Infiltrators will defend with rolls of 4, but if they roll 6, they will have to re-roll because they are attacked by poisonous weapons. And there are 2 bad defense rolls, 2 infiltrators will be destroyed. The second unit of Cult Rangers will also move on top of this building. They can stay in cover behind the crate and still be close enough to seize the Machine Cult's second objective. The henchman leader will step out from his cover behind these huge pipes, but he will not move forward that much. The cult leader moves to the right side of the battlefield, still in cover, but he is within 12 inches of his cult rangers and he will try to cast a critical aim spell. That will cost him 1 token and he will use the second one to increase the chance. He needs a 3. If he's successful, the unit will get +1 next time they shoot. And the spell is good. Next round, this unit will get +1 when they fire. Next up, we have the second unit of warriors. They are fast and they can advance up to 8 inches, close enough to seize the middle objective, also close enough to get into firing range with some of their weapons. And they can fire at the shock priests. They will have 6 shots, all of them AP 1, and they will hit with a roll of 4. Again, their weapons have poison, so the shock priests will not benefit from regeneration. And we have 2 hits. And the shock priests will try to block them. They have a defense of 5, but they will roll 4s because they are in cover. So here we have 1 bad defense roll and 1 reroll because of poison, and the reroll is good. In the end, 1 priest will go down. The 3 remaining Sect Infiltrators will now move forward. They have Strider, but they will stop here and they will aim at the Dark Elf Raider Warriors. They have 6 shots with F blasters. They will hit on 3s. Only 2 hits and it's AP nothing. The Raiders will block with a defense roll of 5. And 1 is good, but still 1 Raider will be shot down. The AI activation will now dictate that the Crow Swarm here will activate. They will fly all the way to this objective, land, and seize it. Second objective controlled by the Raiders. Only 1 unit remains, and that's unit number 2, and that is the same on the AI activation card, so everything is right here. So the Gene Warriors will activate as the last unit. They will move forward and claim objective 2. Now the Dark Elf Raiders control 3 objectives. That was the end of the first round. Both armies took casualties here, but it seems like the Machine Cult army suffered the worst losses. Let's proceed to round number 2. The Machine Cult will activate first, and the Cult Rangers with the +1 aim will begin, and their target is the unit of Winged Warriors. 4 AP-1G rifles and 1 AP-1 uranium rifle with radiation and sniper. Let's go. 4 hits. All of them will force the Winged Warriors to roll 5s in defense. We will begin with the uranium rifle because of radiation. If the Winged Warriors roll a 1 in defense, there will be an additional hit. And that's not the case. It will be a hit though. And then the 3 other G rifle hits, no good defense rolls. 4 Winged Warriors will be shot, leaving only 1 behind. And the last Winged Warrior will of course have to pass a morale test with a quality of 4. And that's no good. The remaining Winged Warrior will be shaken. The Crow Swarm is next, and they will easily fly to the roof of the building and they will charge the Cult Rangers. The Crows attack with no less than 9 swarm attacks. They are rending and they will hit with 5s. And a lot of dice. In the end, only 2 hits. That will of course still force the Cult Rangers to roll 4s. And they will fail both their defense rolls. That's pretty bad. 2 Cult Rangers will die as a result of the Crow attacks. The 3 other Cult Rangers will now fight back. They will hit on 4s, but close combat is not their specialty, and there is only 1 hit. No matter what happens here, they will lose the battle. Let's see if the Crow can block an attack. It's not the case. There will be 1 wound to one of the swarms, but the Rangers will lose. They have to roll on the wound chart, and they will need a 4 to pass. And they will also fail. They are not below half strength, so they will be shaken. The Sect Infiltrators are not finished with the Dark Elf Raider Warriors here. They will charge them on the top of this rock, and they will contest the objective by doing so. They charge with 6 Taser Sword attacks. They have the Taser ability, so they are looking for 3s and hopefully 6s. Ooh, and that's a shaky roll. They will hit with 3 of their attacks. The Warriors must roll 5s. Only 1 good defense roll. 2 Warriors will be cut down, leaving only 2 behind. The leader is one of them. So they can strike back 1 close combat weapon and 2 attacks with energy sword. And they will have to roll 4s to hit something, and there is only 1 hit, but that's a rending energy sword hit. That takes a 6 in defense, and that's a failed defense roll. So also 1 Sect Infiltrator will pass away in this close combat fight. But the Warriors will lose the battle, and they will have to pass a morale test. And that's a successful test, but they are still below half strength, so they will be shaken. And the Sect Infiltrators will move back 1 inch. And both these units will contest the objective. Now the Gene Warriors will activate. They have already taken control of the objective, and now they will charge. The Shock Priests, they will attack with 8 close combat weapons and 1 deadly claw. And they will all hit with rolls of 4. So the claw will hit. It is a deadly attack, and there will also be 3 additional hits. So the Shock Priests have a defense of 5, but the claw will take a roll of 6 to block. And no, so 1 priest is hit by the deadly claw, and let's see if he can regenerate. That's not the case. At least 1 priest will go down. And the 3 remaining defense rolls, 2 of them are good. 1 priest will take a hit and also fail regeneration. In the end, 2 Shock Priests will go down. There are 2 left to fight back, so they will swing their shock staffs. 4 attacks hit on a 4, and they are rending. And there are 2 hits, none of them are rending. The Gene Warriors have a defense of 5, and they will fail them both, but they can also regenerate, and 1 regeneration roll is successful. So 1 Gene Warrior will be hit by the shock staff and go down. But the Shock Priests will lose the battle, and they are below half strength. They will need to pass a morale test, and they are not able to do that. Being below half strength, they will leave the battle, and the Gene Warriors stand victorious. The cult leader does not like what he sees. He moves to this elevated position and prepares a spell. It's the spell Shrapnel, where he can target 2 enemy units within 12 inches. And he will target the crows, and he will also target the remaining warriors here. And if he's successful with a roll of 4, and he is, both units will take 4 hits. We'll begin with the warriors. The remaining ones will have to roll 5s to avoid the powerful spell here, and they are completely miserable. The cult leader will eliminate the entire warrior unit. Then, on the top of the roof, the crows. They will also have to pass 4 defense rolls, and they will fail 3 of them. That will take out 1 complete crow swarm, leaving 2 behind. With the warriors gone, the Sect Infiltrators will now completely control Objective 3. From behind the rock comes the other unit of warriors completely intact, and they advance and they target the unit of Cult Rangers. They have 5 shots with poisonous barb rifles, and they need force. This is almost at point blank range. Let's see if they can hit, and the dice are all over the place here. It looks like there are 3 hits. They are AP nothing, but they are also poisonous. And yeah, 3 hits. So the Cult Rangers must block with rolls of 4. And there is 1 good, 1 failed, and 1 reroll because of poison, and the reroll is good. So that's 1 Cult Ranger down. The Cult Rangers will activate and immediately fire back. They have 4 shots. 1 of them with the uranium rifle, but they will hit only once. The warriors will fail 1 defense roll, so 1 warrior will go down, and the winged warrior will remove the shaken condition, and as a final action, the Court Henchman will charge the Sect Infiltrators and contest the objective. The Infiltrators have already fought, but the Henchman has not, so he will have 4 attacks, and he will hit on a 4, only 1 hit with the ghoulish claws. A defense roll of 4 is needed, and it's bad. 1 more Sect Infiltrator will leave. The final Infiltrator can fight back now, but will need 6s. He has already fought, and there are no hits. The Henchman will win the battle, and the Sect Infiltrator must pass a morale test. He will need a 3, and it's good. And they will still contest the objective, both of them. At the end of round 2, there are 2 objectives contested by both armies, 1 controlled by the Machine Cult, and 2 objectives controlled by the Dark Elf Raiders. So at the moment, the Dark Elf Raiders lead this battle. Round number 3. The cult leader will receive 2 new magic tokens, and he will advance and once again try his shrapnel spell. The spell was hugely successful in the last round. This time, his targets are the Court Henchmen and the Gene Warriors. He will have to roll a 4 for the spell to work. And again, he's good. So the Court Henchman will take 4 hits. And that's with a defense of 5. And he will pass 2 of the hits. So 2 wounds to the henchman. He has a tough value of 3, so he is heavily wounded. Then the Gene Warriors, also with a defense of 5, but they have their regeneration. But let's see what they can do. They will also defend 2 of the magic hits. The remaining 2, they can try to regenerate, and 1 of the regeneration rolls is good, so 1 Gene Warrior will suffer from the spell and is removed. Now the Court Henchman will have to pass a morale test with a quality of 4, and that's good. But it's not over yet. The cult leader still has his revolver, and he will target the henchman. He has 2 shots, and he will hit with 4 and 1 hit. So maybe it is the end of the Court Henchman. He will have to roll a 6, but he will pass. So he will defend the shot. That was very close. That was the end of the cult leader activation. Next up, the Winged Warrior will fly closer and fire at the Sect Infiltrator. And there are 2 hits. And the Sect Infiltrator will block them both. No damage. So the Sect Infiltrator will take the opportunity of still being alive to charge the henchman. It's a very short charge, 2 attacks with Taser Sword, and also 2 hits. And that could very well be the end of the Dark Elf Raider leader. Yes, he will not defend any of the hits. The court henchman is taken out of this battle, and then the Sect Infiltrator will also control the objective. The warriors will activate, and they will move very close to the Cult Rangers. Not close enough to get into close combat, but close enough to contest the objective. And then they will fire their weapons. And even though they are very close, they will still only hit with 2 shots. But the Cult Rangers must block them, of course, and they will defend them both. There will be no hits. Immediately after, the Cult Rangers will activate, and they will take a risky decision. They will leave the objective behind, and instead advance down from the platform and into this position where they can target the Gene Warriors. So now the objective here will be controlled by the Warriors. The Cult Rangers will focus on the Gene Warriors. They have 4 shots, and they will hit with 4s, and the uranium rifle will hit on a 2. And there are a total of 3 hits. They are all AP1, and we will begin with the uranium rifle. And that one is passed, and the other 2, on the other hand, are not. So 2 hits, but they have a chance to regenerate, a chance they will not take. 2 Gene Warriors are shot. So 1 is left behind. And, of course, he'll have to pass a morale test, being the only one left. With a quality of 4, he will fail the morale test, and he will be shaken. On the other side of the battlefield, the crows are not finished yet. There are still 2 crow swarms left, and they will once again charge the shaken Cult Rangers. 6 swarm attacks. And if they roll 5s, they hit. They roll 6s, but that's even better. 2 hits. That will be very hard to defend. They will need 6s now, and of course, they will fail. 2 Cult Rangers will die. So only 1 Cult Ranger is left on the top of this building. He can fight back, but he is messed up. He's shaken. He will hit, though. And he will deal 1 wound to a crow. But in the end, that will not help him. He is already shaken. He has to take a morale test. He lost the battle, and he will automatically fail and leave. So the crows will stand at the top of the roof, claiming the objective as winners. As the last unit, the Gene Warrior will activate and remove his shaken condition, and that concludes the 3rd round. The Warriors took control of the left objective, and they control 3 more objectives at the moment. This is a 4-1 lead to the Dark Elf Raiders before round number 4. The machine cult leader is under heavy pressure, but 2 times his shrapnel spell has kept hope alive, so he will now try for a 3rd time. His targets this time is the remaining Gene Warrior and the remaining Winged Warrior. 2 magic tokens, and that will give him a chance on a roll of 4 to make the spell. And no, this time it will not work. That's too bad. He can still fire his revolver, so he will do that on the Winged Warrior. He will need rolls of, oh my god, that looks bad. He is apparently under too much pressure. No hits at all. The Warriors will activate and leave the objective. They still control it, but they cannot really get a good firing position. Instead, they will charge the Cult Rangers in close combat. They will hit on a roll of 4, and we have 2 hits. The Cult Rangers will of course try to block with rolls of 4 as well. 1 is good, 1 is not. 1 Cult Ranger down. So now we have 3 Cult Rangers that can fight back. And they will also choose to do so this time, but they will hit with only 1 of their return strikes. And the Warriors will defend. So the Warriors will win the battle. The Cult Rangers will have to pass a morale test. They are not below half strength, but it will have consequences if they do not pass. And they fail the morale test. They are shaken, but effectively that takes them out of this battle. That is the last round, and being shaken, they will not really have an impact. The middle of the battlefield has seen some heavy fighting in this match. The Sect Infiltrator moves to the left, and that takes him close enough to capture the objective. And he will also fire twice at the Winged Warrior. He will hit with one of his shots, and the Winged Warrior will not defend. Finally, he will not fly any further. He's out. But the crows are still here, and they have really transformed from annoying birds to a force to be reckoned with, and now they have a take on the cult leader. They will fly in for a charge, they will contest the objective, and they will attack. And we have 6 attacks. They will hit with 3 of them, and one of them is rending, so the cult leader will have to block the rending hit with a 6. He'll fail that one. And the 2 normal hits, he will block one of them, but he'll take 2 wounds. He can strike back with his taser sword, 2 attacks, and he will have to hit with them both to even this battle. And he will only hit with 1. And the crows will not block. That will remove another crow swarm. But the cult leader will lose the battle. He'll have to pass a morale test. And he will pass the morale test. He is below half strength. He'll still be around, but effectively his battle is over. The cult rangers can only remove their shaken condition, and that leaves the final activation up to the Gene Warrior. And why not charge the Sect Infiltrator and go for the objective? He will contest it first, and then he will attack with his claw. Only 1 attack, and he will not hit. The Sect Infiltrator, on the other hand, can fight back now with 2 attacks. He will turn around, swing his taser sword at the Gene Warrior, hit on a 3, and we have 2 hits and a roll of 6. And the taser ability will give an additional hits. So the Gene Warrior will now face 3 hits. He will defend 2 of them. So 1 hit that he can try to regenerate. And he will. So a lot of hits, but no damage. He will move back, but still contest the objective. That was the end of the 4th round and the battle. The Dark Elf Raiders used their superior number to capture most of the objectives. They control 4 objectives at the end of round 4 and only 1 objective contested. That is a crushing victory. The remaining machine cult units will leave as fast as they came, and they will also leave all the resources to the Dark Elf Raiders. Thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope you'll join me for future bad reps.